Yeah, now let's kick it back old school, Chris, to I would say the original kind of search campaign that we both run and I think still run, but I'll check in with you. A search campaign with manual bids and phrase and exact match keywords. We don't really have a name for this, but we're going to go through the pros and cons. But I also want to start off with why, Chris, the why we run these kind of campaigns where we talk about different kind of campaigns. So where does this kind of campaign stand on the Chris Schaefer mountain of campaigns? Is it still number one? And why do you run it?
Um, it is absolutely number one. Standard manual bid search campaign is the primary foundation of where I start 99, no,
Whoa, whoa,
100%.
wow. Still in
100%. Yeah.
2022. Wow.
Yeah. Man, I that doesn't mean that they always end up manual with phrase exact keywords, but it's 100% of where I start. I'll say the
It's
only
included
deviation
100% of the time. I think that's almost fair. It's
it's
included as one of them,
yes,
maybe.
yeah. It the only thing I deviate from would be I might do something in broad match to begin with, but I still do manual
Oh, yeah.
100%. 100% start with manual.
Wow. Okay. So, and when we say search campaign with manual bids, phrase exact match keywords, kind of the old school campaign,
No.
we're not talking about anything fancy with like brand keywords or competitor keywords. We're more
Right.
talking like straightforward heat and air company in Phoenix, HVAC Phoenix,
Yeah.
criminal defense lawyer Los Angeles, criminal defense lawyer near me. Those kind of
Yep.
keywords still in
Yeah.
2022.
You can't be that shocked. Surely, Jason, you
No, I'm shocked on
do
behalf
the
of a
same
portion
thing.
of the audience that is not doing that. But yeah, I
Right.
think this is still. I would say this, Chris. There's so much going on with Google Ads now. Performance Max, Display Select,
Yeah.
um, as extensions becoming assets, responsive ads influencing the searches. There's so much going on that it gets tempting to kind of act like you're 2 years into an account on week one.
I
But
love that. That's a good.
don't you get that
Yeah.
temptation because you start
Yeah.
thinking about all the different
Yeah.
things that you could
Making
accomplish?
assumptions about things that you
Yeah,
don't know yet. Yeah.
but I think it's a good discipline to at least have one of your campaigns be the old school phrasing exact match keywords. You can call
Yeah.
it manual bids if you want. You don't have to. People do it different ways. Let's talk about the pros. So the pros of let's talk about phrasing exact and then the bidding. Pros of phrasing exact, Chris, are you can control what searches you show up on. Is that fair? And if so,
Yeah.
speak to that.
Yeah. The advantage, the pro of phrase and exact is you control the quality of traffic. And I'm not talking about controlling the quality of traffic of the word lawyer or lawyer exact match or lawyer phrase match. One word. I'm talking about when you employ the use of multiple terms in a keyword and you add that as exact match or a phrase match, you know what you're going to get. So it makes sense. You have control, and that's something that is more difficult to acquire in Google Ads nowadays.
Yeah, and one thing we'll talk about this with the exact only campaign, Chris, but phrase match is not what it used to be. And sometimes with
No.
phrase match, you'll show up on a lot of competitors, even if you put moving companies in Dallas, because I guess that the machine goes, well, these are other moving companies in Dallas. These are their names.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not what you want. But we like the phrasing exact from the control aspect. Now, what about the manual bids? What do you like about having manual bids, the pros of manual bids?
Um, I mean,
And I'm
there's a
talking
ton.
about speed, Chris. I love the
Right.
speed.
Right.
Not enough volume. Watch this. Click, click, boom.
Yeah. That's it. I mean,
Yeah, that's it.
there's a ton of reasons, but if I had to narrow it down to one, it's the fact that I can, just like you said, click a button and I know that this keyword is going to show up. I have the budget and I have the CPC bids and I have phrase or exact keywords. I know I'm going to get some clicks. I know I'm going to show up on this, and It's obvious because that is how manual works. Quick,
Yeah, you
straightforward.
could say the pro of manual bids is the control, but to be honest, you can control your bidding with max conversions, with a target, with maximized clicks, with the
Yeah.
ceiling. There's ways you can control your bidding with automated bidding. What I like about the pro for me for manual bids is the speed, and especially early on. So you launch on day one, you know there's some ramp up, you don't really pay attention. Day 2 or 3 or 4, your absolute top percentage is 13%. Your search impression share lost due to ad rank is 85%, and you're like, "Oh, I need to raise my bids to be competitive."
Yeah.
And you can just do it, and like an hour later, you can be competitive in the auction. And so
Yeah.
I like that control or that speed of decision making early on. I also like that years and years to an account where the competition changes their bids or the conversion rates in the industry change or the kinds of searches that Google is showing us for phrase match specifically change and open up. Well, boom, I can just adjust my manual bids quickly. So that's the pro. Let's talk about the cons. The cons of phrase and exact keywords. Is there a con of those keywords?
Not knowing how to use them properly, being overly cautious, being control heavy, and just I think you said it the best at the beginning. Assuming you're 2 months into management on week one, and thinking you already know how people are going to search. You don't know that yet. You don't know.
One of the most frustrating things for me in Google Ads, Chris, is not getting enough budget early on with an advertiser and not giving the account enough time to breathe and figure things out on the
Yeah.
pace that you're actually able to figure things out. Because the con of just running phrase and exact and not running broad at some point is you don't know what you don't know. And when you run on broad, you're going to know everything,
Yeah.
or you're going to know 40 to 60 to 80% of it, depending on what we show in the search terms. But you'll know as much as you can when you run broad. And then you'll see what searches you don't want to show up on. You'll find some good negative keywords. You'll see what searches you do want to show up on that you had no idea people were searching this way. And you can add those as keywords. But you won't know that if your phrase and exact keywords are too limited. And you won't know if your phrase and exact keywords that you selected are too limited unless you do something opposite at some point and run a very open phrase match or broad match keyword. So that would be the downside of just using phrase exact. What about manual bids, Chris? Any cons? Is it just the labor? It's just labor intensive, or that
Yeah.
you can really make mistakes if you don't do your math right? What are the cons?
It's the knowledge curve, the learning curve, I guess is that. But I mean, once you know how to do it, I don't know if there's a. I mean, I guess if there's a disadvantage, the con of this approach is that there the automated bids always have a leg up on you in that they can move
Always.
faster. They're more agile. They can do 15 different bids in a fraction of a second for one specific search, and then change those for the next one that comes in. And you can't replicate that in no way.
The other advantage they have, we'll talk about it more in the broad keyword section, is they know the context of the person doing that keyword search. Yep. And that's something humans can't do. So the question is, do you want to do broad as well? We'll talk about that in that section. But to bring it back to the pros of manual bids and phrasing exact is you know what you're getting. You know what you're paying for. You know what you're getting, and you're in full control and you're in fast control. And that's why we make it a cornerstone of all of our campaigns and accounts just to start. And then we like to grow from there.